Dresden's Staatliche Kunstsammlungen celebrates its 450th anniversary. In the interview, Martin Roth, the director of Dresden's State Art Collections.
Mr. Roth, Dresden is putting on a full program this year. 450 years of SKD collection, a big porcelain show, the Turkish chamber is now open, and soon the Albertine. Is Dresden staking a claim as Germany's art capital?
Dresden kann viel.
Dresden has a lot of potential. Sometimes the city has only achieved half what it could. There are many reasons for that, but now we're in a situation where we can give it all we've got, and we'd be stupid not to. But it's not as if we've been working on this for years, telling ourselves that someday we'll show them all. That's simply not our style, and I don't think we could have found the energy to do something like that. This year is a marathon, and it's not over yet. We're not even halfway through.
We're in the Albertine, which is due to open. What's so special about it?
This used to be a rundown inner courtyard. As a result of Volker Stab's redesign, we have an impressive space that can be used to superb effect. Stab's approach to the renovation, restoration, and reconstruction was extraordinary, extremely bold as the ceiling shows, and because it gives the building a completely new function.
Dresden seems to have the necessary resources, yet the prospect of cuts hangs over the rest of Germany like a Damocles sword.
I think we managed it because of our history. We always had to deal with the destruction of Dresden. During the communist era, things weren't impressive. But we learned to make the most of the little we had. We're not exaggerating things. That's important. The renovation is fundamental, and it's very good. We built 2 fantastic workshop levels and storage facilities right under the roof. That's a great idea. But it isn't luxurious. That has helped us to convince people to give us money. We were very lucky. That wouldn't work nowadays. Obviously, it was something that worked 5 or 6 years ago. It wouldn't do today.
But museums have opened, so the finances were solid. Major museums opened in Berlin, Essen, Munich, and now here in Dresden. Where's the boom coming from? The last decade has seen museums springing up like mushrooms across Germany.
This boom started in the 1980s, not 10 years ago. We are still riding this wave. I've been riding the wave all the time, and I'm luckily still on the crest of it. We have reached a crossroads, and not just for financial reasons. We have around 6,000 museums in the country. That's 2,000 too many.
Museums are a crowd puller, and every city wants to have one. Why do people actually visit museums?
Our nation has a long history of culture. Not just Germany, but Europe as a whole. It's a conglomeration of countries with a long cultural history. I don't think there was ever a time when that was different. The basic interest in culture was always there. There was always a fundamental interest in authenticity. And museums supply the basic substance. I suspect that in times of crisis and changing identities, and that is a fact, that people relate more with history. That's why it would be really tragic if the funds for education and culture were slashed during periods of crisis. Culture still unifies Europeans and is a contributory factor.
Extrem zu kappen, weil da haben sie das, was die Leute in Europa noch zusammenhält. Das ist sicherlich mit ein Grund.
Opening a museum is one thing, managing it is another. Do museums rely on the generosity of private art collectors? Do their wealth and huge collections influence what you exhibit?
There have always been collectors. In the 1920s, Dresden was a hive of collectors. Unfortunately, that was destroyed in the Third Reich. I must admit that I envy the way my counterparts worked then. This triumvirate of collectors, museums, and gallery owners worked like clockwork. I'd make huge mistakes, lose my credibility. Things are a lot stricter somehow. A lot would be gained by easing that up a bit. Collectors are in an entirely different category. They can indulge their whims and allow themselves follies and acquisitions that we can't afford. We're in a different league and need to plan longer term. We can bring those strands together, but they're not comparable. I don't think it would make sense to incorporate collectors' entire museums into our work, but many collectors do support us.
The SKD State Collection in Dresden has long had good relations with China. An exhibition about the Enlightenment was due to open in the National Museum in Beijing, but it's been postponed. What's the status now?
Fine. We delayed it because of building problems, because of money going to the Olympics and the cold winter. All going well, we'll open in late March. The concept is ready and the loaned works are there. We've a great team of 3 German museums and the National Museum. I've hardly ever had a project where everything went so well.
All well and good, but there's a public debate about limits to cultural communication, and not just in Germany. China is very tough on freedom of expression. Things haven't improved since the Olympics ended. You just have to say Google to get a sense of the anger at the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2009. Are you an exception?
Yes, sometimes I feel like a Chinese whisperer, or someone who understands China, but I'm far from that. Let me take a different approach. I'm not a political person, though I consider my task political. I want to work on a different level in a global world. Dare I say that I'm just striving for greater understanding. I've just returned from Tehran. Culture has a certain function when politics and economics can no longer make a difference.
How are ties with Tehran?
We've had good relations with the National Museum for years. We did training on the job, among others. I don't want to break it off.
20 years after German unity and the end of former East Germany, Dresden is a shining light. Isn't it time for you to relax a bit?
A city like Dresden thrives on events. Dresden is not a city which hosts the 25th Cézanne exhibition. It lives from its historic substance. That legacy offers so much that we can do it again, albeit not so much as in this year. The coming years will be calmer with more focus on research. But we have continuing topics which we want to bring to the public. The next big opening exhibition will be Dresden's Armory in 2013 to 2014. That will be massive. The next few years will be exciting, provided there's no terrible economic collapse.
Let's hope for the best. Thank you, Professor Roth.
Thank you.